Okay, guys, good evening, YouTube. Welcome to episode number 27 of the FPL Family. And where do we even start? I don't even know where to start. What a couple of weeks of football it's been. If you celebrated Christmas, hope you had a lovely Christmas. If you're looking forward to the new year, obviously hope you have a happy new year. But between Christmas and New Year, that is when the Premier League takes over. And actually, I put out a bit of a semi-emotional tweet last night that got a bit of a, let's just say, a mixed reaction on Twitter, because basically halfway through the Man United game, which by the way was dog awful, just a bad game, Burnley versus Man United, and the fact that it was actually Charlie Taylor who I was looking for a bit of a clean sheet from Charlie Taylor, but it was he that screwed up. That led to the Manchester United goal, and it wasn't even Rashford at the time, it was Martial. So I was like, oh, this couldn't get any worse. I turned it off, I put Guardians of the Galaxy 2 on, and that's what I tweeted. I just said, look, I've had enough football, and I've never had that before, that I've had enough football. But I just was like, that's it, I'm done. I got over it this morning, I'm fine today. I really enjoyed the Liverpool game. Well, sort of enjoyed the Liverpool game, and I sort of enjoyed it. Well, I did enjoy the Arsenal and Chelsea game. We'll come to that a bit later on. But yeah, I just had enough. Had you had enough yesterday, or would you happily just carry on watching football forever?
I enjoyed watching all the football.
Yeah.
Every 5 minutes I felt like somebody was giving me an FPL kick in the teeth.
It was, and because game week 20, guys, I genuinely don't know how to react to this game week, because I don't think we've certainly not had a game week like it this season. I don't know if I've had a game week quite like it since we've started playing FPL, to be honest with you. It was just bonkers. As soon as that Leicester City team sheet come in, the Twitter went crazy. It was just like, uh-oh, here we go, get your benches out.
It's just like,
it was mental.
To lose all three of the big, highly owned Leicester, I know, congratulations to Jamie Vardy, but to lose all three of them is bad.
Yeah.
Then lose Lundstrom as well.
Yes.
Today.
The Lord doesn't play. And
it's like, oh, crumbs, where are we going now? And then it was just constant. It just felt like it was like one thing after another, and then it's just been such an FPL weekend this weekend. Like every time KDB does something, my rank drops. I own him.
Yeah.
And it's like, stop it. Stop doing things because you're killing me.
But there's
Kevin.
But imagine not having him. Well, if you haven't got KDB in this random weird game week, where even just having him as captain means you get a red arrow, a small one. Yeah. Imagine the size of the red arrow if you haven't got him.
Well, this is the thing, and it was the same. I seem to remember it being the same with Mane a few weeks ago when I still owned Mane, and somebody didn't play, and all the vice captains, or the other way around, and the Mane vice captains moved somewhere. I think it was Mane vice captain has moved to Vardy.
Yeah.
And it was killing me that week, and you find yourself kind of going, this is just one of those moments where you couldn't. I'm already down. Could you stop kicking me? Just stop.
But my point is about. So, I'm sorry, guys. We're going to get into hellos and all that stuff in a minute. We've got Patron league updates because we've got a December Manager of the Month winner to announce as well.
Somebody's won on the back of that
Someone
nonsense.
has won on the back of that nonsense. And I think the person that's going to win it has got KDB captain, by the way. There's two guys at the top of the December Patron Manager of the Month league that have both got KDB captain.
By choice or by voice?
No, both selected captain. Both selected captain. So you give them
that. They're worthy winners then.
Had it defaulted to Kevin vice captain, sorry, you can't have it. There's no. You can definitely both have it.
It'll be one of those ones that kicked me while I was down.
Absolutely. So when we got to talk about that, we'll talk about our teams, obviously, and where we are in overall rank and all the rest of it.
We have to.
But my thing about the football apathy that I had a bit last night was, I also think over the course of game week 19 and 20, there's been like so many like mistakes. Like I started writing down as I was watching all the games, the mistakes in the games. And I know the players are tired, right? And with tiredness comes mistakes. Like, what is Concert doing barging Deeney in the box for the penalty for Watford against Aston Villa?
Yeah.
All right, one of their players is down with a hamstring injury, but you don't go and barge Deeney in the box. That's the first mistake. Aurier's own goal, comical.
Well, that's Aurier.
Absolute comical. Charlie Taylor for Martial, as I mentioned before.
Yeah.
Martin Kelly with a back pass for Danny Ings to let him in for a 9-pointer, 3 bonus points when he's hardly had a kick in the game.
What's that about? I needed that.
Yeah, but I couldn't. So
don't begrudge me that. That's pretty much all I had.
But as a non-Ings Gaeta owner,
no,
that's devastating
news. I had Gaeta as well I got 3 points.
Don't even get me.
I definitely needed that.
Don't even at me, ridiculous. And then today, Leno against Chelsea in a game
What is
where
he doing?
Arsenal played really, really well and have got that game kind of where they want it, and Chelsea just win it out of nowhere. I mean, from a mistake by the goalie.
There was the Norwich guy chopping Kane down in the box for a penalty as well yesterday. Stupid tackle.
There was just so many mistakes.
Stupid.
And it was like, so I had this kind of like, I've watched so much football. My FPL's gone to absolute rat poo. We're watching all these games and all these mistakes happening, and then the icing on that guff cake. Oh, VAR is just going to do my head in. It is so bad, VAR. Well, and I appreciate that we were on the right end of it this game week, but oh my God, is it bad or is it bad?
Well, there were a few. I mean, we were on the right end of it as well with that Pookie goal going, but that was ridiculous. There was so many of them, and do you know what made me really sad actually? And I've said this before, and it made me genuinely feel sad. We took, as you all know, our little boy to Spurs on Boxing Day, which we've not mentioned the Boxing Day games because we got caught up in Gameweek 20.
Yeah.
But we took him. And obviously, the first goal got VAR'd out for, I don't even know how many millimetres.
Another armpit. Yes, another armpit. Yeah.
It got VAR'd out, fine. And then we went behind, and then Kane scored again, a goal that did stand. And I picked Max up and kind of threw him around. Yeah. And he went, Mummy. And I went, what? And he went, put me down. It's not been VAR'd yet.
Disgusting.
And I was
Can't deal with it.
What?
Can't deal with it.
I'll throw you around some more.
So wrong.
It's like, how is this? How are we teaching this generation of kids that is what we do? Like, it's got to be VAR'd first.
End of VAR conversation. Not having any more VAR conversation. Speaking of which, we had a lovely time at the stadium and Spurs Stadium. For those of you that haven't been to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium yet, if you get the opportunity to go, it is class. It is a class stadium. It is fantastic. One of the best that I've ever been to, no doubt about it. You can, in the old Spurs Stadium, the one thing I had about it, and this is not a White Hart Lane thing, it happens at all stadiums.
It's an old stadium thing.
It's just quite tight, isn't it?
Yeah,
you come out of the stadium very tight, and it's about in the new Spurs, it's like going to a shopping mall, isn't it? You can stand around, you can have a beer and a pie or whatever, and it's fantastic. And obviously the stadium was very good. First half, in that game, Spurs versus Brighton, Spurs were absolutely atrocious, by the way. And the atmosphere was terrible. But second half, you turned it around.
I think you get that, don't you? Generally, most Boxing Day early fixtures.
Boxing Day lunchtime kickoff was always going to be a challenge, wasn't it?
And then, of course, the crowd got up for the Kane goal that was disallowed. And then it was just like, oh, great.
Yeah.
And then Brighton went and scored, and it was like, oh. Great.
It was like, at 45 minutes, Max was genuinely bored. We'd taken him to his first ever game, and he was like, what's this? Spurs are losing. The only goal they scored got written off, and no one is singing anything in the stadium. Terrible.
He just got the programme out because I got him put in the programme. So he was
happy with that, wasn't he?
So he got his programme out and just started looking at himself in the programme, and I thought, oh God, it better be a second half that's better than this. And obviously it was.
Yeah, so. Speaking of legends, we also met up with James from Planet FPL Pod at the stadium. You did a bit of an Instagram live, so thanks to anybody that tuned in at the FPL Family on Instagram for that. That was really good fun seeing James.
It's lovely to see James.
He'd set his wild card for Gameweek 19 in the same way that you had, so we had a bit of a wild card off, didn't we, on Instagram?
Yeah, and his went well as well because obviously he brought Kane in, so...
Yeah, pretty good. So there we go, guys. Let's get on with the show and say hello to a few people. Before we do that, we're going to have a look at the questions, actually, that have come courtesy of our patrons in the Slack. You're not going to forget the polls today, are you? I'm not going to forget the polls today. No, I'm going to try, if I can, at the end of the show to remember. Thank you for reminding me about that. I'd completely forgot. I'll try and remember to actually do the polls at the end of this live stream. You guys know how I end the live streams, right? If I start talking about, I'm on the pod this week and blah, 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 just in the live chat, polls. So I remember to do it. But these poll questions, get in the little white eye above my head, go click it and you'll see 5 questions in the polls, one of which is Game Week 21 captain. So, of course, there's another set of fixtures, Game Week 21, between now and when we will next be live streaming, which, as usual, is Sunday night, 8 p.m. this time next week. Another game week that we've got to go through. Game Week 21 captaincy is one of the questions in the polls. The other 4 questions have come from our patrons in the Slack. So, guys, thank you for sending these questions over. First one comes from Tazzy Matt. So, thank you, Tazzy, for the question. Do we call him Tazzy or Matt? We should call him Matt, really, shouldn't we? Can't call him Tazzy. That's where he's from. Matt, thank you, Matt, for the question.
Please don't.
Just call him Tazzy. Thank you, Tazzy. He says, with Ancelotti in charge of Everton, they're looking a lot more resolute at the back, and we do need to talk a bit about Everton and their assets going forward because they've got a game against Man City next, which on paper's looking pretty tough. But then after that, the fixtures look really, really good. And a certain Mr. Calvert-Lewin looks very good, actually, under Ancelotti. And Ancelotti's been coming out and talking good things about him. Having said that, Tazzy Matt is saying, what about their defence? Because they're showing a little bit more resolve as well now. So do we go back to Digne, who a lot of us had at the beginning of the season? Do we go Coleman, or do we go Holgate as a cheapie? Or who do you want to go for? So some options there in the polls. Get in and answer Matt's question in there. The next question comes from Kyle Dynamite Dons. Thank you, Kyle, for the question. He says, if you were going to use a chip in Game Week 24, which we know now is a double Game Week 24, so I'm pretty sure all 408 of you that are in watching this will know by now that Liverpool and West Ham have got a double game week in 24. But if you don't, here is us telling you. Double game week for Liverpool and West Ham in 24, which is only 2 or 3 weeks away. So you should start planning for what that's going to look like. And Kyle's asked the question, if you're going to use a chip in that double game week, which chip are you going to use? A wild card, triple captain, free hit, bench boost, or would you not use a chip? You're just going to go into it and just, I don't know, maybe just captain one of the Liverpool
I think I'll be in the minority with my answer to that.
Okay, all right. Well, get into the polls, guys, and answer Carl's question here. Thank you for the question. Next question from the Slack patrons comes from FPL Chucky. Thank you for the question. Best budget fourth mid. So who in the under 5.5 bracket in preparation of a potential spendathon in game week 24? So obviously Chucky is thinking about, does he want to go Mane and Salah? Does he want to go Robbo and Trent at the back? He wants some money in the bank to spend for double game week 24. I'm guessing on Liverpool and maybe not trailing up on West Ham. Who knows?
Well, why not? They've got a new manager bounce coming.
Yes, but it is David Moyes, so the bounce will be pretty flat, I suspect. To hire that guy once is a mistake. To hire it twice is gross negligence, isn't it, frankly? Best budget fourth midfielder, under 5.5 million. Traore, Cantwell, Fleck, Moutinho or El Ghazi. So get into the polls, answer Chucky's question there. And the fourth question, a final question, comes from Liam Healy. Thank you, Liam. Budget again, you might be thinking the same thing in terms of double game week 24 and freeing up some cash. But this time strikers, best budget strikers. Now some of these could be considered budget, some not, depending on your definition of budget. And actually there's quite a big price difference between some of these. But that's the question that Liam wants answered. So it doesn't sound as if Liam has got too much of a challenge around money, but he wants to know which one of these he should go for. Danny Ings, Tammy Abraham, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Jimenez or Maupay, Neil Maupay. So guys, get into the polls and let us know and let Liam know who out of those budget strikers you would go for. There we go. All right, well, before we get on to the results from this game week, let's have a look in the live chat. Let's see how many of you guys are in and who's here. Sam O'Sullivan is here. I have Traore and Cantwell. Very nice, Sam. Good evening. Nice to see you. Azzy is here. Azzy, very nice to see you as usual. Maddison going forward. Anyone still owning him? Maddison, yes or no? I've still got him, and I think, to be honest, probably sticking with him for now. Got other things I want to sort out in my team, but let's see. Fantasy football community. Holly is in. Holly, how are you doing? Very nice to see you. 49 points with a green-faced sick emoji next to it, which is kind of how I'm feeling a little bit as well.
Yeah, I feel a bit the same, Holly.
Kind of feel a bit like that, but it's one of those game weeks, Holly. Listen, do you know what? Game week 20 can be best summed up for me. You can do all the research, you can look at all the stats, you can watch all the football that's happened over Christmas, and then game week 20 just comes along. It will be the most random game week of the season. We knew you can't plan for it.
But we knew that one of the game weeks over Christmas was going to do something strange.
Yeah, the rotation would have hit at some stage.
We knew that there was going to be... I just didn't necessarily expect all the managers to rotate in 20. I expected some of them to do it in Boxing Day fixtures, some of them to do it this weekend, some of them to do it New Year's Day. Instead, we just seem to have got them all go... Just all do
it on one day.
We'll all do it in the same day.
Keza FPL is here. Hey, Kieran, how are you doing, mate? Ex-manager of the month, former manager of the month, Kieran is in. Thanks for the super chat. He says, do you think VAR will ever be changed from now on? Ooh, we could do... In fact, I might actually do a separate Ohana podcast for Kieran and the other patrons just on VAR. And I'll tell you why I'll do it, guys, to just get it off my chest. Because I got honestly, Kieran, I got so many negative thoughts about VAR and its impact on the game, the emotion behind the game. I would actually rather go back to not having VAR and getting decisions wrong.
You said that today.
And when I mean wrong, the perfect one for me, and I'm not just saying it because it was against Spurs, but the Pukki goal against Spurs, he's offside and then he arcs his run back, I think, behind maybe Sanchez or Vertonghen, and he times it perfectly and he's in line. There's no daylight. So this thing about having daylight now is gone. That's all gone, isn't it? As long as your armpit's offside, you can be offside. This whole thing about daylight is gone. He timed his run perfectly. Ball comes over from, I think, Hernandez or maybe Vrancic, can't remember. The ball comes over, takes it perfectly on his chest, smashes it past Gazaniga. I'm like, what a goal! I was like, that is a fantastic goal.
The only thing,
absolutely crazy.
The only thing I will say about VAR, and I don't like it, I agree with everything you just said about the Pukki goal, but at least they are consistently doing it for everybody. So they they are, because they took a goal away from us on Boxing Day for the same thing. They took the goal away from Wolves today for the same thing. So at least it's if it's bad, which it is, at least it is bad for everybody.
Right, we'll stop talking about VAR because I know I'm having a row. Let's answer. What was Kieran's actual question? Do I think it'll ever be changed from now on? I don't think VAR will get changed, Kieran. I think the rules will get changed.
I think VAR
but ain't going to do it mid-season, right?
But they'll be for the start of next season. They'll just readjust what offside looks like, I guess.
Exactly. Steve Wynyard is in. How are you doing, Steve? Good evening. He's saying Super Chat missed. Oof.
Ooh.
Oof. Savage.
Oh,
yes,
there we go.
is. Mr. Wynyard, how are we doing? Hi, Sam. Where are United and Spurs in the table? Steve, we are not even going to comment on that. It does not warrant a response. Let's see where you are in May. That's what I'm going to say. United very unconvincing again against Burnley. We'll talk about that a bit later on.
I mean, it's one of them seasons, isn't
It is. Liam Healy, good evening. How are we doing? Evening and Sam, 70 points thanks to Captain KDB. That was the one. And to be honest, Liam, fair play to you. But at the beginning of Game Week 20, as Holly has pointed out with her stick emoji, and we were talking about, you just plump for somebody. It's just like you don't know who's going to be the best captain choice for this game week.
There was a lot of
people stuck it on Vardy.
There was a lot of good captain options. Vardy was one of them.
Yeah,
his wife decided to give birth.
The baby turns up, and suddenly you're getting red arrows for Kevin De Bruyne in your team.
You can't odds it, can you?
It is what it is. Jack
I've got
Benzie is
Rico coming off my bench.
How are we doing, Jack? Very nice to see you. Casey's here. Casey Skinner. How are you doing, Casey? Very nice to see you. Robin Sam is here. Why am I already tempted to use my wild card? Robin, hold on.
Wait.
Hold on. You'll need it. Save it for a rainy day. You'll need it.
Although statistics do say to use it early.
Oh, don't start.
They do, but it isn't January yet, so wait for January.
You can't spend your second wild card, and it ain't even 2020 yet.
You've got to wait for January. That's when the first 2 weeks...
I think it's available now, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, but the statistics from last season suggest the first 2 weeks of January were the right time.
Statistics. Schmatistics. Leave it, I think. Save it. Josh is in. FPL telling. How are we doing, Josh? Very nice to see you. Harry Clark is here. 70 points. He says, nice game week. How
many people got 70 points?
Jeff Holt is in. 84 points.
Right, Jeff, go away.
Top 3K, Jeffers.
Jeff, go away.
He's having a stormer, by the way, Jeff. Absolutely
well done,
sensational. Jeff. Sammy Day is in. Gaz Temple. Wildcard 2. Active now, Gaz. Gaz. Oh man!
I love it.
You guys,
I
save it. You'll need it later on. You'll need it. James Goff is in. How are we doing? Milan Milic is in. All sorts of you guys, and we've already rambled about VAR and all sorts of other crap for 23 minutes. So guys, thank you for sticking with us. Super chat from Azzy. I miss the days when you don't luck out on vices. Well, I think a few people have lucked out on Vardy captain, KDB vice captain.
Yeah, I mean, why doesn't Klopp rest Salah? Because that KDB was my vice.
Because he bought him off on 60 minutes last game. So you can't have it every way, Sam. You can't have it every way. Well, there we go. There's our Twitter on the left-hand side, at FPL Family, if you're not following us there already, and at FPL Family on Instagram, if you want to follow Sam over on Instagram. Any breaking Facebook news for us?
I've been posting to it.
You've been posting to Facebook. Excellent.
Do you even follow our Facebook?
No, I don't even follow our Facebook. I don't even have a normal Facebook for myself. Right, let's see what's going on with these games. Where should we start? Where do you want to start? I don't even know. Let's talk about Arsenal 1, Chelsea 2, because up until the Leno error in that game...
What, up until you asked for the graphic for tonight?
Yes, and I should point that. I should absolutely point that. You're right. I should have pointed this out far earlier. The graphic for tonight is not supposed to troll Arsenal fans, and I appreciate it's coming across like that. But I asked Liam at LX_designs on Twitter if you've not checked out... So Luke, of course, Luke. Sorry, Luke. Luke Walkinshaw, of course. At LX_designs on Twitter. If you're not following Luke, you definitely should. Luke, I asked him to do us a graphic for tonight's thumbnail, and Arsenal won up at the time, looking pretty good. Mesut Ozil actually having a decent game. Arsenal hard-working, looked motivated to get a result. All the things that Arsenal haven't been for weeks and weeks and weeks under Emery. So I'm thinking, well, good. All right, it's only 1-0, but they'll see this game out. Let's get Lacazette celebrating. And then Arsenal did Arsenal things, which was basically to make individual errors.
Did Arsenal things.
And he's got such a job on his hands, Arteta, just to get those individual errors out of the game. What did you make of the game then? Chelsea, for their part, I mean, I've got Abraham in my team. I'm still considering selling. I was highly considering selling before this game, and I still am, to be honest with you.
I wanted to get rid of Tammy Abraham before game week 19 when I was wildcarding. But I got the fear because they were playing Southampton and then Arsenal, and I was like, well, Southampton, they can concede. Arsenal, they'll concede. So maybe I should keep him. So I kept him. And I said to you, didn't I, about, 60 minutes into that game, right, that's it.
Yeah.
Tammy Abraham is dead to me. He can go.
He barely had a shot, to be honest with you. He was not even in it.
I've barely seen him on the camera.
Yeah.
So I thought, right, you're going. And then he does this. And it just throws that little element of doubt
Took
into
it well,
your
didn't it,
head.
to be fair,
Because you think, well, you've not really had a sniffle game. You've got an opportunity, you've taken it well, and you've scored.
Yeah.
So it's tough. But my view is that Chelsea were lucky. I thought Arsenal were, pains me this, really good.
In my view, there's three things that changed the game. One was Chambers gets injured.
Yeah.
So Chambers actually did a pretty good job at the back there. Who's the guy that come on? Mustafi. He's useless. He's just he's rubbish. So Chambers was doing a pretty good job. The second thing that changed the game was that he brought Ozil off. Ozil, I thought, was having one of his best games in an Arsenal shirt, certainly this season. I don't know what Arteta said to him. I don't know if he was just motivated because it was a London derby. I don't know, but he's having a pretty good game. So all right, it's starting to look a bit leggy. I get that, but come on, 350 grand a week, get going. So he should. Ozil was having a good game, and then third was obviously the mistake for the goal by Leno, which is a clear error.
And the thing is that with Chelsea being the sort of side that they are, if you give them an opportunity like Leno did, he basically just gifted them a goal.
Just got it all wrong, didn't he?
At that point, you could see the change in feeling amongst the Chelsea players, the Arsenal players, but also in the stadium. So there was that sudden like, oh, here we go again from the Arsenal fans.
It was that. Yeah, the Arsenal fans were just like, right, there was all that positivity.
Yeah.
And then it was just like, and we've been let down again.
And
it's just like, here we're waiting for it. And
there
it is. There's the mistake. And if it's not Mustafi, if it's Leno, if it's David Luiz, everyone across that back line, in my opinion, has got a mistake in them.
Yeah.
And I do feel for them because a few weeks ago they had Tierney and Bella in both playing, and they both looked really good, and they were starting to take shape, that back four, wasn't it? And then they both get injured, and it's like, here we are, back to the drawing board again. So from an FPL perspective, how do you feel about Arsenal? I personally am not touched them yet until I see a bit more consistency. I'd like to see the performance today, up until the mistake. I'd like to see more of that.
Yeah.
I'd like to see more of that over the next few games. Let's have a look at their fixtures while we're here.
I think the thing is with Arsenal is that you can't touch them defensively, so that basically means you're down to picking a midfielder or a striker. Now, in my opinion, the midfield are too difficult to predict in terms of who's going to start. So is Pepe going to start? Is Ozil going to...
Pepe's not getting starts right now.
Is Ozil going to start? Will Ozil be able to play enough minutes before something goes wrong with him? Aubameyang's expensive.
The Arsenal fixtures, by the way, United at home, Palace away, which is a very tricky game, Palace away. Sheffield United at home, and we know that Sheffield United can be resolute on their day, no doubt about it, even when they're away from home. Chelsea then away, so a repeat of this fixture, but the return leg effectively. And then Burnley away. Burnley, who knows what's going on with them at the minute. So the fixtures aren't great, to be honest with you, either. And on that basis, I don't think I can shell out 11 point something million on Aubameyang.
I think you've hit the nail on the head
when you can have a Jimenez for 7 or a Calvert-Lewin for 5. It just doesn't feel right.
It still feels, and forgive me, Arsenal fans, but it still feels like in terms of FPL, it's Aubameyang or nothing at Arsenal.
And right now it's too expensive.
He's just too expensive.
Just too expensive. Let's move on then. Chelsea then, what are you doing with Abraham? What's going on? You're keeping.
I don't know. I don't know is my honest answer. I don't know what to do with him. I'm probably going to keep him this week.
Okay.
Probably. Because my original plan was to do a double transfer this week to allow me to get Kane. That was my original intention. But I also quite like the idea of not making a double change ahead of and then waiting until after the FA Cup stuff.
Well, as Scott Schrager saying in the live chat, there are many more options than holding Tammy right now. And I think what he's saying there is, it's 4 or 5 back-to-back blanks before today, and today was looking like a blank until we had that game-changing moment from Leno.
It was.
So, given the wealth of options, in actually price brackets below Tammy, is he worth holding on to? I don't know.
Well, so my intention at the back end of my wild card, part of the reason I had Toby was to enable me to have the money for Tammy to Kane eventually. So have Toby, downgrade him at the end of... Because I thought, well, we've got Brighton and then Norwich. If Spurs are ever going to get a clean sheet, it'll be in either Brighton at home or Norwich. We got neither. So he's going now. He was it was a 2-week punt.
Yeah.
So I'm probably going to downgrade him. That'll give me the money for, at the end of the FA Cup, 2 transfers going into FA Cup week, or through the FA Cup week.
Yeah.
And then that'll allow me to upgrade Tammy to Kane at that point.
Okay, interesting.
But I am also kind of pondering on Bobby.
Okay.
Because obviously the double coming up, do I go Tammy up to Bobby instead?
Yeah, Firmino, 8.8% team selected by last I looked, which was only last night, because I had a similar thought to you. I see people flocking towards the Trent and Robbo again. I see people flocking towards the Salah and Mane for game week 24, and that's absolutely the right thing to do in my opinion. But
he's looked really good.
But if you fancied an outside bet, Firmino could be all right. Yeah,
and
we'll
what
talk
do I
about.
say about Bobby for Christmas and in game week 19?
And he's done all right. He's done very well this week,
brilliant.
isn't he? Very well. So we'll talk about Liverpool in a bit more detail later on. You guys in the live chat are saying Jimenez and Rashford are better options. Shashank is saying Ings and Morpie both better options that will free up money for you as well, as he is saying.
I would have got Ings.
DUK is saying Dominic Calvert-Lewin will be amazing. Optimus
The fixtures
Premier,
are good as
Tammy
well.
to Rashford potentially. So yeah,
there are other options there.
Yeah, having said at the beginning of the season and a few times this season that the third striker position is kind of dead, very much alive and kicking right now. Very much alive and kicking. For my part, I got rid of Pulisic in the lead up to game week 19.
Good job.
He just had to go, and he didn't play in 19. He was rested, not rested, but he had a slight injury I think for today as well. So that is now 4 or 5 blanks in a row, and then missed 2 games. I mean, if you're still holding on to him, I can't see why you would be, to be honest with you. Given also, we're talking about a wealth of options up front in the under Tammy Abraham bracket. There's also a wealth of options emerging now in that under Pulisic bracket. So at 5-6 with the likes of all the people in the poll question actually that was mentioned by, I think it was either Liam or Kyle, right? So you've got Cantwell and Fleck and Traore and all these players. These are all better options right now than Pulisic. So if you've got Pulisic and you're holding on to him, not sure why.
Even Mount is still a better option.
Yeah, I mean his assist today, he did get an assist, but if it wasn't for the keeper, he doesn't get it. And again, he didn't.
But
who knows? I still
think that he's a better option than Pulisic simply because of the value that they cost you.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on from that game then. Let's talk about Liverpool 1, Wolves 0 then. So I'm as interested in your thoughts on the Wolves assets as I am in the Liverpool assets. So it's another result that Liverpool ground out today, no doubt about it. And we could talk for hours about the VAR decisions and whether they were right or wrong, to be honest with you. Mane gets the goal over Salah, which again is disappointing for both of us actually. You bought Salah in on your wild card. I did Mane to Son, who then got a red card, and then did Son to Salah the week after. So that's worked out really well over the last couple of weeks. That's cost me a ton of points. So that's obviously right now looking like a bad decision. But given what's coming up for Liverpool, double game week 24 on the horizon, not that far away, right now, how do you feel? Are you feeling Trent and Robbo? Are you feeling Salah and Mane? Or are you feeling one of those two in the middle and Firmino up front? Or a total punt from out of nowhere?
I do quite fancy Firmino as well. I've got Trent and Salah. I do quite fancy the Firmino for the double. That feels quite nice. I just don't trust Liverpool defensively. To have 2 of them, they're so expensive.
Got 4 clean sheets back to back, 5 in all competitions.
Just don't. I don't know.
All right.
That for the cost I just don't know. I think that double game week.
Well, if you're concerned about the cost in terms of Trent and Robbo, why not have a look at Gomez? Since Gomez has come in over the last few weeks, he and Van Dijk formed a fantastic partnership, and he's a full sort of 1.5 cheaper than the fullback.
Maybe. I just think that double game week for me isn't. There's been a lot of raving about it. For me, that's a really hard double game week. It's tough. You're going to have West Ham who are going to have a new... I know you think he's rubbish, but you're going to have West Ham who are going to have a new manager. That always adds an element of change. And you've got Wolves who, at home, will want revenge on today's game because they can consider themselves really hard done by today. I do not think these are easy fixtures. I really don't. And I don't see 2 clean sheets in there. So I don't really want to have double at the back. I do like the idea of Mane and Salah together. Just
while you're on the back though, Steve Wynyard in with another super chat. Thank you, Steve. Don't ignore Joe Gomez. He says he's cheap. When are Matip and Lovren back? I don't think they're too far from coming back, actually. It's a nice point by Steve there. By the time double game week 24 rocks up, one of those other two guys could be back. Now, actually, since Joe Gomez has been in the team, I think he's done enough to cement his place, quite honestly. I think he's been fantastic for the last 4 or 5 games, and the clean sheets have been coming for Liverpool on the back of that. Had a difficult and slowish start to the season. I don't know really where that come from. He didn't get up to speed that quickly. But now is starting to cement his place against Van Dijk. But it's a nice point from Steve, actually. You will have those other two guys coming back. Of the two, I would say Matip is probably the more likely to come in for Gomez, if either. Because, again, Matip and Van Dijk were forming a really nice partnership until he got injured. So, yeah, that's a nice point. Keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on the fitness of Matip and Lovren. To answer the question directly, I actually don't know when they're coming back. I think Matip is maybe 1 or 2 weeks away, and maybe Lovren is maybe 2 or 3 weeks away. But keep your eye on that.
I just feel like at Liverpool, if I'm going to treble, I want 2 of them to come from the attacking positions. So it would either mean doubling with Mane and Salah, but that is an awful lot of money, or doing Salah and Firmino together.
Okay, and from a Wolves perspective, then, pretty unlucky, frankly, today to not get something from that game.
Yeah,
no doubt about it.
I feel like that sums up my week, because Moutinho was really unlucky this week not to get some attacking returns. He would have got the assist on the goal that was disallowed. Had a good opportunity himself to score. Now, I know obviously that would have meant I'd lost my clean sheet for Trent, but I've been better off because Moutinho is so lowly owned.
Yeah, sure. Differential.
He played really well, and it worries me a little bit that now the other big Wolves assets have had a rest. Traore came on but didn't start, and same with Jimenez. So I worry a bit that Moutinho might be a casualty on New Year's Day.
How do you feel about Jimenez as a Tammy Abraham replacement? Because there'll be a lot of FPL managers thinking about that move.
Yeah, I think Jimenez is absolute FPL royalty. For me, he is somebody you shouldn't overlook, and maybe for my sins, I do feel like I have overlooked him a little bit this season.
Jimenez, yeah, potentially.
Yeah, I feel like he's kind of
a little bit under the radar until fairly recently.
Yeah, I feel like he's gone a lot under my radar, to be honest.
A lot of people at the beginning of the season were put off by the whole Europa League thing, weren't they? And actually, now they've got into their stride, and that's no longer really a concern or an issue.
Yeah.
He's doing really well. I think he's had a pretty good Christmas. I mean, had he started today, who knows what could have happened. He might have got something out of that game.
Who are they playing on New Year's Day?
Well, I was just going to have a look at the fixtures. I think the fixtures for Wolves do look pretty good now that Liverpool game is out of the way. So the Wolves fixtures, let's have a look. Where are they? Where are Wolves? Here they are. So Watford away, which...
Well, Watford
I don't think that's an easy game anymore, right? I don't think that's an easy game. And then they're at home to Newcastle. We back them in that game. Southampton away, which I think is okay. And then Liverpool at home, which is obviously the return of today. And then Manchester United away. So for the next 3, having either Traore or Jimenez looks pretty good. And at a time when the Chelsea fixtures are also pretty good, Brighton at home, Brighton away, Burnley at home, Newcastle away. So those next 3, it's actually very difficult, I think, to pick between Abraham and Jimenez on purely on a fixtures basis.
Yeah, I think the only thing that Abraham has in his favour, and this is going to sound ridiculous, is that he is better away from home, and he's got two nice away fixtures there, at Brighton and Newcastle. Did you say? So
yes.
There's goals in those games for him in those fixtures, I think. So which is why I'll probably end up holding him, because I do think that Watford, and we'll give Watford more than 42 seconds this week, deserve a talk about, because I don't think that is an easy game for Jimenez to score goals in, because Watford looked really good this weekend.
Looked a lot better, didn't they? Looked a lot better. So if that's a difficult decision to make, Jamie22 is saying, well, Pulisic to Traore looks like an absolute no-brainer to save yourself a couple of million as well in the bank. Yes. Ready for Liverpool in double game week 24, or whatever you want to spend it on.
Yes.
Pulisic to Traore looks good.
Yes.
Yeah. Or Mount to Traore as well. That's a bit more difficult, but I think I would still do it.
I think I probably would do it if I didn't have anything else to do.
Yeah,
Pulisic is a do it.
Yeah.
But Mount is a bit like, well, if you've not got any other fires to put out, then do that.
Okay, all right. Let's move on, because we're rapidly running out of time. We can't really comment on Man City 2, Sheffield United 0, because not only did we not watch the game...
I just don't want to talk about Kevin, to be honest.
Well, listen, I think you shouldn't be so negative about it, because if you didn't, trust me, there'll be loads of FPL managers that don't have him whose ranks will be absolutely killing them this game week.
Kevin and I aren't friends anymore. It's a good job it's past Christmas because he wouldn't be getting a card.
Trust me, you sell him if you want to sell him. I will
not
absolutely
gonna
be
sell
keeping him for the rest of the season. He looks sensational. And we can't really comment on the game other than defensively, I don't know. Zinchenko come back into the team today, got a clean sheet. I don't think the two are related, other than is he an option again? I don't know. I need to watch the highlights and have a look.
No, we can't really speak.
We can't talk about that. One game that we can talk about, obviously Norwich 2, Spurs 2 at the weekend. I've talked already before about the Pookie goal and how I was, despite it being against Spurs, I thought I was kind of almost like disappointed to see it not be a goal, because it's such a good goal. You want to see good goals scored, and it was just weird. But nevertheless, Kane gets the penalty. Eriksen gets the free kick for a bit of a phantom
Very old
handball.
school, wasn't it? Spurs.
I thought
Eriksen
he made a difference, Eriksen. Honestly, I can't. And I said the same when we went to the stadium to you. That game needed something at half time. And he brought on Lo Celso against Brighton. He made a difference. Then he brought Eriksen on, and Eriksen made a difference. So that's now, a game and a half or a game and a third where Eriksen has come on and probably been the best player on the park. And you're probably going to sell him in January.
It's got nothing to do with his abilities as a player that he's going to get sold. And I've said this to you multiple times. How good Eriksen is as a player isn't up for negotiation. No. That's not being questioned by anybody.
He is class. He just wants to go.
He wants to leave. And for me, I don't care whether he is the best player in all the world and has won the Ballon d'Or 8 times. If you've got a player like that at your club who doesn't want to be there, don't play them, because they are a disruptive element. Now, in this game week against Norwich, we had no choice. Sissoko was suspended. Winks was suspended. Son's still suspended. You have to play him because, quite frankly, there is nobody else to play. So, look, if somebody could wave a magic wand over him and make him happy and get him to sign a new contract, then fantastic, play him. But the man isn't happy.
Yeah. And for those of you that follow me on Twitter, you'll know that my keyring theory is in full swing right now. When we went to the Spurs shop for the Brighton game, all the keyrings were in the little buckets by the till. Only Eriksen's one had the discounted to £2 sticker on it.
Yeah.
Everyone else was £4. His was half price, Eriksen only. And there was, let me tell you, a lot of them, to be fair.
No one wants them.
So no one wants it. He wants out. There's my keyring theory. I think he's gone in January. Other Spurs assets, though, of which there are plenty. Dele Alli, probably a little bit unlucky in that Norwich game. Looked a little bit leggy, but I think you can understand that. But still getting into nice positions and could have had some FPL points. So, Ali owners, don't panic.
No? Look, Dele Alli in another game week gets a couple of assists, gets a goal. I don't think there's anything to panic about there. It's just that it's come in this game week where we really could have done with points. But yeah, I don't panic. I think Lo Celso is looking, and Sessegnon, interestingly, both of them staking a claim to play more regularly. Yeah. And if Sessegnon gets to play more regularly, making a claim to be a really good fantasy asset.
Yeah, I want to see more Spurs defensively before I go there, though. I still think you're a little bit suspect at the back.
Yeah, but where was he when we watched him against Brighton? Where was he against Norwich?
Yeah,
he's up there.
I'm still
don't get Aurier for crumb's sake. But
oh my god, the guy's a clown. I'm still a bit not sure on Spurs, and for the patrons that listened to my Ohana last week, you'll know about my feelings on Spurs.
Myrtle over there.
No, and it's not moaning. It's just my opinion.
Negativity.
No, it's not. It's just my opinion, and my opinion is that Spurs are not playing well right now. Could easily have lost that game against Norwich were it not for a handball and a Pookie VAR goal and a penalty. And it's like, I don't know. I'm just not convinced, guys. And I know that, if I was going to go anyone, I'd have Ali. No doubt about it. I'd have Ali. But I still think he's got some issues in that squad, and there's issues that he's inherited. It's not Mourinho's fault that one of his best players wants to leave. It's not his fault that Ndombele, for some reason, just doesn't want to play. He said that he come out and said, I just not feeling it today, didn't he? And then when he did play Ndombele against Norwich, he was one of the best players on the pitch. So I still think he doesn't know what his best 11 is. He doesn't know who's in the boat with him and the trenches with him or not. Still lots to be discussed, I think, for Spurs. Let's have a look at the fixtures to see whether I'm going to go in on them or not. Southampton away, Liverpool at home, Watford away, Norwich at home, Man City at home. So despite there being 3 home games in the next 5, 2 of them are pretty difficult. So
winnable, easily winnable.
Sure. And if you've got Ali, I think you stick. But anywhere else, I think you're don't know. I'm just not convinced. Norwich assets. Vrancic with the goal. Buendia with the assist. Give me your thoughts on Pukki right now. Pukki, I don't want to say the party's back on because it's not. Because he's not getting any FPL points. But a goal that, on another day in another universe, counts against Spurs at the weekend. In the game against Wolves in Gameweek 19, missed a couple of gilt-edged chances that could have put the game to bed before half-time. He's just starting to build up a head of steam. And if you look at the Fantasy Football Scout goals imminent table, which is a table that Joe pulls together, talking about touches in the box and shots on target, all the underlying statistics that you are going to lead to somebody getting a goal. The two that were on there this week were Pukki and Tammy Abraham. Now, Tammy gets his goal. Pukki is the creator-in-chief for the Aurier own goal. And, of course, I'll mention it again, the goal that got ruled off for VAR. Is Pukki... Oh, should we be putting more attention on Pukki? Is he coming back here? He's doing everything right except getting FPL points.
I feel like, in my honest opinion, is that Pukki is better when Cantwell's on the pitch. Now, I can't understand the Cantwell benching so regularly that's going on right now. I don't understand it at all because I think Norwich look better.
It's protection and rotation, I think.
Is it? It's regular now. It's a regular thing. It's not. It's. I don't think it's even Christmas rotation anymore. It's become a regular thing that he's being benched and then pulling him on. And I think, I don't know. I'm not prepared to rejoin the Pukki party yet because I feel like it is a trap. Is my honest opinion. I feel like Pukki will go on another one of these runs like he did at the beginning of the season, and then it will end in tears.
Okay, Robert Dinsmore is saying too many striker options to consider him right now. Too many other options that are actually delivering as well as doing the underlying stats thing that Pukki's doing. Let's move on. Let's talk about Manchester United, who got a result at Burnley, which I honestly don't know which way that Burnley's season is going right now. Both the teams in claret right now, in fact, all the three teams that are in claret, look really out of sorts. Now, West Ham have taken action by sacking Pellegrini. We'll maybe talk about that a bit later on. The Villa faithful are starting to lose faith a little bit in Dean Smith, which I never thought we'd say at the beginning of the season because he's got them up there and he's Villa through and through and he's got Terry by his side and that all seemed really hunky-dory at the beginning of the season and they were playing some nice stuff. But some of the Villa fans that I follow on Twitter are now starting to get a little bit shaky about, well, we spent a lot of money on Wesley and we spent a lot of money on other players. It's all on Grealish, basically. And from a Burnley perspective, I wonder whether Sean Dyche is starting to lose a bit of goodwill as well because they're really hit and miss Burnley. I remember a few game weeks back, they had back-to-back 3-0 wins and I'm thinking, right, that's the start now. They'll go on and have a good season.
And they got smashed by Spurs.
And then they got smashed by Spurs and they're losing at home to Man United and it's like, what is going on at Turf Moor? It's very difficult to say. I'm not going to talk too much about Burnley FPL-wise other than I have Charlie Taylor. And at 4.2, 4.3, I'm sort of thinking, well, he can just stay there until I've got a luxury transfer to use. He can just stay. From a United perspective, though, I do want to talk about those guys because, again, the two main men, Rashford and Martial, both on the score sheet. For those of you that bought Pogba in before Game Week 19, that's just really unlucky because he had a really nice Game Week 18. You bring him in and then he's got back-to-back games where he's not quite fit or he doesn't quite fancy it or... goodness knows what's going on. I've got no idea.
But that is Pogba.
And I think we did say this time last week, if you bring him in, and I remember you sitting there going, I don't really trust him. And
if you bring Pogba in, you are taking a chance. And there was always the possibility that this might happen. Manchester United are, Steve's going to love this, they're the one mistake I think I've made properly this season so far is that week where I brought Son in, I very, very nearly went Martial, if you remember.
Yeah.
And had I done that, it would have put me just a bit better off.
Martial is... I don't think you should beat yourself up about Martial. He's very inconsistent. He'll have one good game and then 6 bad games. Yeah. And even against Burnley, he had a couple... All right, he had a good game against Burnley, no doubt. But the goal came about as a result of a mistake.
Yes. Yeah,
again,
it did.
Another one. Another mistake.
But I think that there is definitely scope for... owning a United player.
Yeah.
The issue is it probably needs to, and this was why I didn't do Martial originally, is because in reality it needs to be Rashford.
It probably does.
But then, if that game had finished on 90 minutes yesterday,
Yeah.
would I still be sitting here saying that?
Yeah.
Unlikely.
Yeah, and actually the finish, not only were Burnley pushing up trying to get a goal, so it's kind of come a bit against, it was on the break, but also he rounded the keeper, and I don't know if you saw it, but he's almost like fallen over and hit it with his back foot, and it bubbled in.
Yeah.
It was a very, very lucky goal. So if you captain Rashford this week, fair play, but
he's lucky.
Also pretty lucky. And I think you're right, if you're going to have a Man United player, it feels like it's Rashford, but again, he's 9 million, so you're putting him up there with. So you're probably not having. Well, you might have Vardy, but you're probably not having Tammy or Jimenez or Firmino even or Danny Ings or those players. You might not, right? So difficult to come out and say that I back any of the United assets fully right now. I've got Rashford. He got the goal. I'm keeping him just because, right? He's got a lot of goals this season. He looks fine. And I've got other things I need to sort out in my team, frankly. But I think if you were going to go United, I think you're right. I think it is Rashford. Let's have a quick look at the super chats that come in thick and fast, actually. Azzy, thank you.
Yep.
Ollie plays
There's
only
one more above that one.
Okay. Ollie plays only one way. 4-2-3-1. Negative, he says. Negative. They haven't looked too bad, Azzy. They haven't looked too bad. Steve Winyard, thank you. Burnley were awful. We're only going at counters. Still could be worse. Could be Spurs who are not great at anything. Okay, interesting. Spurs actually very good at a lot of things, Steve. We are very good at counters.
Making
could be
curry
worse.
pies as well. They're very good at that.
Yeah, possibly. I don't know. Burnley were awful. Yeah, they were. No doubt about it. Not for the first time either this season. Matthew Knights, let's see. Pope out, Fabianski in to rotate with Henderson. Maybe.
I mean,
but
Fabianski might not be a bad call given that they have got a double game week coming up. So, I mean, I know they've got to play Liverpool as part of that, but
let's see which manager they get and how they perform in the next couple of weeks before investing in 24 would be my opinion. But
there's a lot of decent keeper options out there.
But if Matthew's got Pope, who frankly is a bit
useless,
of a non-event right now, then yeah, Fabianski could be a good one to have, particularly as you say in light of the double. And then Steve is saying also Martial is the one that you want. Yeah, listen, I can't say that he's not. I can't say that he's not. Martial he's 7 point something. He's out of position. He gets goals. But my view on Martial is he'll have one or two good games, and then you watch him do nothing for 4 weeks now. You watch him do nothing, and then at the middle of January he'll pop up with a brace in another game. He's just that sort of player. That is more than enough on Manchester United. More than enough.
Can we have a chat about Watford? Because
we can. We're going to skip over West Ham and Leicester because frankly, difficult to say anything about Leicester because it was not really their first team, and I'm not expecting that to be their team in game week 21. So
and it's pretty pointless talking about West Ham because we don't know what kind of West Ham we're now going to get.
I think you're absolutely right. So go on then, let's talk about Watford and Villa. Before you do on Watford, because I think there's plenty to talk about there, let me give my 2 penneth on Villa. They are a shambles right now. Villa are a shambles. What is that? 1 win in something like 8 or 9.
It's like forever.
It's shocking, and actually they're not putting the graft in. They're not closing people down. They're leaving space for players. They made Deeney look like a world beater, actually, and Deeney bullied them. And Deeney he can easily bully players, right? Because that's his style. But Villa rolled over far too easily for me. Now I've got Jack Grealish in. I was happy to get him in mainly because it got rid of the stinking Pulisic in my team. So I'm happy to have Grealish in, but he's probably got a couple of weeks. Or Villa have got a couple of weeks, and then I might think about doing something else with him as well because I just don't fancy Villa right now.
No, and that's why I didn't go Grealish on my wild card is because I just don't like Villa, and I don't mean that in a horrible, nasty way because I actually do like them as an entity. I admire a lot of what he's done at Villa. I just don't like them at the moment. I think they
Target with a hamstring injury now potentially.
Problems
You've
with
got
injuries. Obviously, McGinn's out
in and out of the team. It's a difficult one.
It's a real problem, and I think we've said for a few weeks now that it's Grealish or nothing. I still stand by the fact it's Grealish or nothing. I mean, Grealish has it in him to do something brilliant, even when Aston Villa are playing awfully.
Yeah. But
I just don't. You can feel a change in. Like you were saying, a change in kind of feeling about Villa. Yeah. And it doesn't sit that well.
Talk to me about Watford then, which I think is far more, there's a change there certainly as well.
Yes.
For the better. Yeah. A lot going on there. And I noticed Deeney playing gave them more than just a focal point. Leadership, aggressiveness, I don't know, just downright pulling their socks up, hard work, having Deeney on the pitch. He added far more to that team than just, they got a striker back.
I think it's a kind of a double bounce for Watford right now because
Yeah.
the new manager's come in and has made a big difference. So whatever the new manager has done, I mean, it could just be new manager bounce and we could see a return to old Watford. But it feels more than that because it's coincided with Deeney coming back from his kind of spell out. And he looked really good in this game, really good. He managed the game, he controlled what was going on, he held the ball up, he was looking for opportunity. Basically, he did what Deeney does best.
Yeah.
Now, I can't own Deeney because as soon as I do, he'll get sent off.
He's always got a red card.
That's what he does.
So if you don't fancy Deeney, what about Ismaila Sarr? Because Ismaila Sarr has looked pretty good now for a few weeks. Looked great in the summer, right, for Senegal. Looked really, really good. He's come in big money. He's gone to Watford for big money, so big pressure. Maybe that got to him a little bit to start with. Maybe he sort of had to get up to the pace of the Premier League. And let's face it, Watford as a team were doing crap as well. So he was just part of that crapness. Whereas now, he's come into the fore and he took his goal very, very nicely at the weekend. So I've got to be an option. I don't know if I'd want to bring him in just now, but he's got to be on people's radars, I think.
Yes, should be on the radars, and let's stick Ben Foster on there as well, because if you've got a Pope-related problem, Ben Foster might not be a bad shout. When we were on the FPL show on Monday, as James was saying, Ben Foster's got the most bonus points for a keeper this season. Now, would you have thought that over the course of the season, how bad Watford have been? So, maybe stick him out there as a potential option as well, because in the past, we've always owned a Watford defender.
Yeah, as he is saying, Ben Foster, in my opinion, should be England #1. I realise I get pelters for this. Well, listen, I'm better than Jordan Pickford, so Ben Foster can absolutely get a game. There's no doubt about it. No doubt about it. So Watford, yes, a watching brief for me, I think, but...
I think it's more than the watching brief. I think we should all board a Watford train.
Go on then, let's have a look at the Watford fixtures then. Let's have a look. Wolves at home, Bournemouth away, Spurs at home, Villa away, Everton at home. So, not bad. Not bad. Three home games in the next 5.
Definitely scope for a Watford player. Joe's going to love me.
Lionel Masbay, thank you for the question, Lionel. He's saying Kiko Femenia is a good shout. 4.2. Good clean sheet this week. Yeah, all right, like the sound of that. How has Ben Foster become the best goalkeeper of this season? Awuga Bricks is saying, yeah, it's just come out of nowhere. And MU Fan TV is saying Ismaila Sarr, like the look of him, but 6.2, is he a bit pricey?
Maybe, but if Watford are going to continue to be on the up,
yeah, I genuinely
only get more expensive.
And I genuinely haven't got a clue what his team selected by is, but I guarantee you it's absolutely tiny. It's absolutely tiny. So if you're looking for differentials over the next 5 weeks, then Ismaila Sarr could be a very nice one. He's got to be under 5. Absolutely guaranteed under 5.
0.4.
0.4% team selected by Ismaila Sarr. So if, as MU Fan TV is quite rightly saying, 6.2 feels a bit expensive, given what you can have at that bracket, and Traore's a bit cheaper, etc. But 0.4, what is it? 0.4% team selected by. Yeah. Super differential.
Deeney's 0.7.
There we go. One other team I want to talk about, because we haven't got time to talk about anybody else, but I do want to talk about Everton, because we have a poll question talking about how Everton got a bit better defensively recently. Holgate's 4.4 and looking like an alright option. Everton's fixtures over the course of the season as well started off really, really easy. Not easy, but they looked favourable. If you remember, we were all like, oh, well, we're going to have Digne in game week 1, and we're going to have either Richarlison or Sigurdsson. We're going to have one of these guys going into game week 1. That's what we were all doing because the fixtures looked great. Then they had a really tough start. They sacked Silva. Then they had a period of very, very difficult games, but actually...
They've done well.
They've done all right in those games, held on and got some results. Now the fixtures are turning back into something that looks half decent. So let's have a look at the Everton fixtures, courtesy of the Fantasy Football Scout ticker. Manchester City away next, then Brighton at home, West Ham away, Newcastle at home, Watford away. So the City game, of course, on paper looks difficult, it is difficult. Let's get around that. But after that, and actually, you'd maybe back there forwards to do something against City. But after that, Brighton, West Ham, Newcastle, Watford, 4 games where you back them maybe not just for clean sheets, but also for attacking threat. So if you don't fancy investing a ton of money in a Coleman or a Baines or a Digne, a shout out for Sidibe, by the way, who looks sometimes is playing a bit further up on that flank in front of Coleman, sometimes playing instead of Coleman. I don't think he's a massive rotation risk based on the fact that he's actually played really well since he's been in the side.
Yeah.
But the one I want to talk about is Dominic Calvert-Lewin. 5 point something, I don't even know his price because he's so cheap. 5 point something. Scoring goals for fun, but not just scoring goals for fun, looking confident, celebrating in What is he?
5.8.
5.8, okay. And also celebrating in such a way that, I don't know if you've seen his celebrations, but they're kind of like, I'm here. I'm here, I've announced myself, I'm in a rich vein of form, and not only that, I've got the backing of my manager, because Ancelotti's come out and said, this guy can be one of the best in Europe. Now, yeah, well, listen, I think he's smoking something as well, but at the same time...
Best in Europe?
At the same time, if you're a young striker, because you're still young, and you've got a new manager, not just a new manager, but Carlo friggin' Ancelotti, one of the big names in management, who somehow has rocked up at Everton, coming in and saying, I really like you, you could be the best in Europe. That is going to give you a boost, no doubt about it. And he's getting results out of him right now.
Yeah, I agree with everything you've just said. Okay, in my opinion, he is the best option at Everton.
Defensively or attacking, or just full stop?
Both. I think he's the best option at Everton because those fixtures look decent, but I don't see there being clean sheets. I don't see I don't see them going to Watford and keeping a clean sheet, for example. I think I would have done if it was 2 weeks ago, but now I don't. So I think he is a far better option than his expensive midfield counterparts.
Yeah, and I think if you were looking for one of the moves that I've looked, if I'm going to go away from Tammy, obviously I've looked at Jimenez. But if I want a bit of money, then Dominic Calvert-Lewin is absolutely on the radar, no doubt about it. And especially after that Man City game.
The other thing I like about Calvert-Lewin is there isn't really another option to replace him. So it's not like, we'll take a punt on this cheap kid at Everton. I mean, who's going to replace him? Tosin? I can't see that.
No, Tosin would need to seriously improve. The only person who
is Richarlison. He could play up there, but
but he seems to like to play them both together at the moment. And to be fair, that's maybe what Dominic Calvert-Lewin has needed, because he's pretty good aerially. He's got a pretty good bit of aerial threat about him. He can hold the ball up, but in previous seasons, under previous managers and in previous formations, he's not had anyone in and around him to give him that support. So all of a sudden he's got Richarlison up there, who's different, by the way. He's pretty good aerially, but he will feed off of those scraps from Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I'm actually surprised that we haven't seen more from Richarlison other than one assist in the last couple of weeks. And I know you've got your thing going on with tips. I get that. But
he's rubbish. He's a total troll. Honestly, it's not about Richarlison as a player. Leave that aside, because I actually think he's a decent player. I just think as an FPL asset, the man is a troll.
Okay, well, some good fixtures coming up. So if you fancy an Everton differential, I think we both would agree that Dominic Calvert-Lewin looks great. But if you want to spend a bit more money, or if you don't want to change your forward line, having a look at Siggy, having a look at Richarlison, having a look, by the way, at Bernard as well, who he seems to like now in this more central number 10 position. I think Bernard, so this is pure eye test, guys, pure eye test. He has looked a lot better.
Yeah, I mean, I think
when he's playing in the middle,
there's definitely improvement. In the same way we said about Watford, there's definite improvement already in Everton, and I can only see that improving under Ancelotti.
Very good. All right, very good. Let's have a look at our teams then. Oh no, before we do that, we should have a look at our manager of the month for December. So we should have our manager of the month on screen right now. So obviously the game week, as I was setting this up, was still ongoing. It's still going on. So Kevin was still doing his thing for Man City. We've got all the auto subs to come in. We've got the vice captains turning to captains and all that sort of stuff. However, the two guys at the top of this league, so both Kyle Henderson and Neil Craston, are looking pretty good for the win, because they both have Kevin De Bruyne captain this game week. So it's probably going to be one of those two guys. Now, we will obviously announce it on Twitter and on Instagram who has won, but I want to say that fair play to both of you guys, and indeed to Kyle, Tony, Jamie, Victor, Dylan, Kieran, and to Josh as well, because the December has been
bonkers,
just weird and bonkers and ridiculous
and brilliant.
So for you guys to be posting 350 plus scores is pretty damn good, to be honest with you, in December. So fair play to you all. It's probably going to be Kyle or Neil that take the crown once all is said and done and the dust settles.
Neil's in South Africa. I
think he is.
I
think he is.
I don't know where Kyle is, actually.
I don't know. But get on the Slack, guys. Tell us. Both of you guys are in the Slack. I know that. So certainly Neil is. I've seen him in there loads of times. So get in the Slack, guys. Tell us what your final December monthly scores were, and we'll be in touch and we can let you know what you want to win. So as you guys will know, the January Manager of the Month is now open. So if you want to go and join the mini league for January, It's a fresh start. We start from zero. All of that nonsense we've had in December, forget it.
Game week 20, be gone.
Get rid of 20.
Here we go.
Game week 21 will kick off our January Manager of the Month Patron League for January. So head over to patron.com/FPL Family. All the links are in the description below. If you want to come and support us at the $5 Manager of the Month tier, you can get the league code and you can win some of the great stuff that you can see, not just on the screen right now, but also some of this great stuff here. So this is something that we sent to... Who did we send that to? Did Kieran have that? I think maybe Kieran
had that.
From a couple of months ago. FPL Keza had a Champions of Europe 6 times signed Liverpool framed shirt there.
What's winging its way to the Mauritius as we speak?
So Bryce has decided to choose, I think it's a Manchester United treble winning
shirt.
99 signed shirt.
We've sent an Invincibles Arsenal one to Jay.
We did an Invincibles signed shirt to Jay. And all sorts really. And if you don't want a signed shirt, then you can also get the signed street signs as well, modelled here by the lovely Sam from FPL Family. This one happens to be signed by, who's it, Kane, Eriksson and Ali, I think, isn't it? So
legends.
Loads of stuff for you to choose from in terms of what you want to choose as your prize, should you be our January Manager of the Month winner. Patreon.com/FPL Family for all the details. You can also buy these from kickingtheballs.com, our sponsor. Again, links in the description below. Use the code FPLFamily10 to get 10% off your first order.
They also do signed boots and stuff, don't they?
Loads of stuff. Yeah, I mean, these are the prizes that you can win in the monthly Manager of the Month, but they do also loads of like signed boxing gloves and Formula 1 helmets and all sorts of stuff.
And your own, if you've already got a shirt and you just want to mount it, they all say your mounting kit.
They've got DIY mounting kits, absolutely. So if you've got a shirt that's already signed by, you've got it signed by a player, you can get it framed in this really nice mounting kit as well for something like 30 or 40 quid. So head over to kickingtheballs.com, our sponsor, and they've got all sorts of good stuff on their website, including the stuff you can see on screen right now. So there we go. Well done to either Neil or to...
We'll know later. We'll post it later.
To Kyle or Neil. We will find out and we will post the winner on FPL Family, at FPL Family on Twitter and Instagram.
And Facebook.
And possibly Facebook.
No, I'm going to post it on the Facebook.
On Facebook. So here is my team for Game Week 20. 51 points, which, I don't know, coming out of Saturday and having no players play...
I know.
I'd have bitten your hand off for 51 points, frankly, but it's just one of those game weeks where my main player, Kevin De Bruyne, as you've mentioned a few times on this stream, you know, he's scoring goals, but it's giving me red arrows. So I genuinely don't know what to make of Game Week 20. It's been a complete mind blow, to be honest with you.
I think also, because Game Week 19 was pretty similar in terms of mine was blown because no one was doing anything. But then you would have this one or like everyone just had a couple of players in their team who were doing something. But they tended to be differential players. So we both had quite nice green arrows, didn't we, at the back end of Game Week 19? And
19 was good to me, yeah.
And it was feeling like, you know, going into Game Week 20, which was just a day later, it was like, oh, I feel quite positive. Like I'm at like 7k and it's really nice. And then it's like Game Week 20 comes along and smashes you in the face.
Well, at the end of Game Week 19, I think I was at the highest I'd been this season, which was about 70k. Yeah. 71k. So I felt
like the steam train of Game Week 20.
And you guys that follow me regularly and listen to these live streams will know that I was really hovering between 100 and 110 for weeks, probably for like the whole of November, and then for the so all through December I was like, I feel like James Alcott now, so clawing my way up to 70k. So I got to the well, we'll find that out. FPL FYI. So I got myself into 70k going into Game Week 20, and I thought, well, it's going to be weird this game week. It's going to be weird, but if I can just hold my own, I'll be good. Overrank's back at 120 now. I'm at 120k, and I'm absolutely devastated, guys. It's wiped out all my good work over the last 4 weeks.
I know.
Absolutely savage. And actually, 51 points, I don't think it's too bad. I'm looking at it, I'm thinking... yesterday...
You owned him. You owned De Bruyne.
Yes, at the end of Saturday...
You had Rashford.
I had 9. I had 9 points at the end of Saturday. No, I didn't. Before Rashford scored, I had 9 points before Rashford. Then Rashford scored, and I had like 17.
Doubled your points.
So this time yesterday, I was on less than 20 points, and I was worried. And then just 51 points. I thought, that's all right. I'll be fine. I've doubled my rank. I'm at 120k. So I'm bitterly disappointed, guys. But I don't know how or why it's happened. I couldn't even tell you what happened in Game Week 20. All I'm going to do is I'm just going to accept it. I know my team's in reasonable shape. I've got a free transfer for 21. I think I know what I'm going to do, and I'm
I'll tell
just
you
going
why it's
to
happened.
go again.
It's because people like Josh have got Aaron Moy as their third sub coming off the bench because Lundstrom's got
Jammy
paid
little bugger.
with 11. That's
Jammy
why
little kid.
I've got Rico coming off with 1. He's got Moy coming off with 11.
I tweeted just before I came on. I said I put a tweet out there and it said, have a strong bench. They said, you'll need it. They said my bench was Charlie Taylor 0, Cantwell 1, and Rico 1.
It's a sad state of affairs.
Absolute rubbish.
Where during the Norwich game yesterday, I was praying, literally praying for a Spurs goal, obviously, but also for Cantwell to come on with to get me a point.
Yeah. When Maddison came on for Leicester, I went, yes, get in.
I was thinking, come on.
I was like, it's 1 point, Lee.
Please, come on. Because 1 point in this game week is going to make a massive difference. Yeah, I mean, I got Martinho on for 2, Cantwell on for 1, and Rico on for 1. So grand total of 4.
Beautiful.
But I tell you what, those 4 points.
Need them. We're taking.
I'd have been down another 5k.
Well, listen, the tale of my team is, I don't even want to go through it. There was so many benchings. There was so many. It was just a weird game week. I'm just going to suck it up, go again, and thank my lucky stars, because I know there'll be some of you guys out there, and I've seen it on Twitter, that have not got Kevin De Bruyne.
Have Sterling instead.
That have got Sterling, and that don't have Abraham, Tammy or Rashford, and they've got 20 points. So listen, I will take 51. I will accept and swallow the 30, 40, 50k rank drop and just go into the second half of the season. I tell you what it is. I'm rambling now. I'll stop in a minute. I'll tell you what it is. I miss the regularity of a normal FPL game week. So what happens on FPL game week is we have all the games. We come on here and spout some nonsense on a Sunday night. I get up on Monday, I listen to Always Cheating on Monday on the way into work. Planet FPL on a Tuesday. FPL Surgery on a Thursday. I do the FPL pod or whatever and listen to the FPL show on a Friday. And I have my routine so that by the time Friday comes, I know what I'm doing. Game week 20 throw me completely.
I think it was Friday night after Man City and Wolves. And Lee turned to me. In fact, it might have been midway through that game, and we were watching it. And Lee turned to me and he went, "What's your bus team looking like for game week 20?" Yeah. And I went, "Yeah, like that." And then, like 20 minutes later, I went, "But it's not really a bus team. Yeah. That is my team because the game week's tomorrow."
Yeah.
And you went, "What? Is it Saturday tomorrow?" I was like, "Yeah, it's Saturday tomorrow." And
do you ever find yourself doing that? That period between Christmas and New Year? I don't know what day it is.
I have no idea what day it is.
Not a clue.
I think it's Monday tomorrow.
Not a clue. Anyway, enough rambles. Your team, 53 points. Overall ranked 12k, which is a red arrow, but it's still 12 blooming k. It's still pretty good. Talk us through your team.
I think it's more like 13k now, actually, because Kevin De Bruyne.
That's a boohoo. All right, 13k.
I'm really disappointed, and I know I shouldn't be, and I know I'll just get a lot of negativity about saying that, but I am really disappointed because it's back again. Like game week 19 was so nice, and I'd gone from basically 13k to 7, and it was like, right, I've done that now. 2 more k, get up into the top 5k, and then build from there. And instead, it's like, it's a wet fish, slap yourself with it.
I think it was always going to be, and certainly I felt this at the end of Saturday, it was always going to be a game week that was going to be defined by your captain choice.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Those that captain KDB, happy days. If you captain Mane, happy days. If you captain Rashford, well done. If you captain Salah, didn't happen. So it's just one of those game weeks where it was so bad across the board that your captain was always going to be the swinger.
And I think, when it's going to be a bad game week when Lundstrom isn't playing, and that
Game week 20 peaks, didn't it, at Lundstrom's benching?
Yeah.
Or Lundstrom's dropping.
I was really annoyed when Toby he was a rightful booking, but I was really annoyed about it because it's a point, and a point in this game week is huge.
Yeah.
So 53. I'm not best pleased, but I have 2 free transfers going into Boxing New Year's Day.
Yeah, what day are we on?
Where are we?
No idea what day we're on.
I have 2 free transfers into next year.
Very good.
And I will ponder on that, obviously, tomorrow and Tuesday, ready for Wednesday morning. I don't think I'm going to use them both. I think I'm going to use one and hold the others so that I've got a couple for, just in case there's anything that goes off during FA Cup weekend.
Good idea. Okay.
I think that's what I'm going to do. But I still look at them, that bunch of idiots, and think, you still look like a good team.
Yeah.
You've just... Your actual managers and your wives, having babies, have just messed me up.
I can't believe you weren't all over that Rebecca Vardy news, by the way.
Well, I knew she was pregnant, but they didn't announce anything. There was nothing. It was like social media whiteout. Since she'd had that
it's probably a good thing that she had a social media blackout, to be honest with you, because, yeah, given what happened the other week.
Well, yeah, but, even if she'd have given a hint that she was in labour on Friday night, I mean, not that
we would have all changed our captains.
You wouldn't. Well, potentially, you might have thought differently about it, but you also nobody's going to take Jamie Vardy out. Got too much value in him. But there you are.
There we go. So 53 points, overall rank of 12k. We go on. Let's see what Gameweek 21 holds. We'll suck it up and we'll go again. Just before we do the polls, because I have remembered to do the polls this evening, a couple of bits of breaking news. The first one is that I'm on the Fantasy Premier League podcast this week with Mr. James Richardson, so look out for that. I'll be recording Thursday. Normally goes out late Thursday night or Friday morning, so look out for that. The other piece of breaking news is that the guys in the live chat are saying David Moyes is official. The West Ham new manager, David Moyes. Reaction?
Yeah.
Best reaction ever. Nah. West Ham fans, let me know your reaction then. Is it better?
What is all of this? Have they not learned from the Watford mistake? Don't go back. It doesn't go well.
Oh dear. The first time that Moyes was there, he didn't save them from going down. There was just 3 worse teams than West Ham in that particular year.
Who was it on this coverage today that said, if you want saving from relegation, don't go Moyes, go Allardyce. At least he's proven he can save you.
Oh, he's even worse. Absolutely
Somebody
terrible.
said that on the coverage today.
That's one of my favourite FPL family moments. Sam, your reaction to Moyes being appointed for the second time, unprecedented, the second time West Ham manager.
Nah.
Whatever. Not in any way making me think I want to get Antonio or Allaire or Lanzini or any of those guys.
I've got a double game week coming up, so let's hope that there's some new manager bounce ahead of game week 24.
There definitely won't be
and
a
we can
bounce.
all pile in on West Ham.
Let's ask you a
Lanzini's
question.
back.
Let's ask you a question that you might not just say nah to. Sure. Here's the poll questions. Which Everton defender are you going to go for? Actually, we should move from that back onto here, the questions. So it was Tazzy Matt. It was Tazzy Matt that was asking about Everton defenders. Coleman Sam 5.3, Sidibe 5.3, Digne 5.7, Holgate 4.4, or Pickford the keeper 5.3. If you were going to go for any one of those, which would you go for?
Digne is the only one that's got anything about him.
So you'd pay a bit more for Digne. I happen to go with the community. The community is going for Sidibe, and I think I would agree. 56% going for Sidibe. 25% of you guys going for Holgate, which is the the nice cheap value option, and I can see that too. Only 14% actually going for Digne, 1% on Coleman, and 2% on Pickford. So Sidibe is the pick there for the FPL family community, which, to be honest, I have to agree with. He has looked particularly good, and his TSB, his ownership, is going to be very low compared to like Digne and the others. So below the dead teams with Digne, right? So, if you were going to use a chip, forget double game week 24, and this is a bit of a forward-thinking poll question, but if you were going to use a chip for double game week 34, and this question 24. Is from 24. This question's from Dynamite Dom's Kyle. Thank you, Kyle. Would you use your wild card, triple captain, free hit, bench boost, or would you not use a chip?
No, nothing. I don't think the fixtures are good enough.
You're not going to use a chip. Okay, the community are going with you. 48%, so nearly half of you are saying, nah, no chips. 41% are saying triple captain. So of the rest, the triple captain, presumably on a Liverpool player, is the one they're looking at there. 4% wild card, 4% free hit. No one's obviously thinking too much about the bench boost. So you guys are pretty split between not using a chip and some of you guys going for triple captain. Best budget fourth midfielders, and this is a question from FPL Chucky. Thank you, Chucky. Best budget fourth midfielders, Sam, and I say fourth in inverted commas because some of these guys could be easily your third midfielder if you're choosing to play them in that way, or indeed fifth midfielders because they're that cheap, some of these guys. But Traore, Cantwell, Fleck, Moutinho, or El Ghazi, where would you go?
Of them, it's Traore, surely.
Traore. Over Moutinho, who's in your team?
Well, I think that the points totals would suggest that it's Traore.
Okay. Traore, 73% of you guys. Yeah, 73%. So the majority going Traore. Cantwell in at 16%. Fleck at 5, Moutinho at 4. No one going for poor old El Ghazi there in fifth place.
It's because that's a Villa problem, not an El Ghazi problem.
I think you're absolutely right about that. Traore 73%, the overwhelming favourite there. And then the next question from Liam about budget forwards. Abraham, Ings, Calvert-Lewin, Maupay or Jimenez?
Ings.
Still sticking with Danny Ings. 43%, the community going with you. The 6.6 million, Danny Ings, 43%. In there, Jimenez next, 7.5 at 27%. Calvert-Lewin then coming in third at 17%, a name that we basically wouldn't have even included in that poll 2 or 3 weeks ago. So he is moving in the right direction, no doubt about it. Abraham then at 6%. So a lot of love being lost for Tammy Abraham, and then Morpie in at 4%. So yeah, you guys keeping the faith with Danny Ings.
I wonder if you could have voted for 2 in that poll, whether that would have increased Tammy or whether everyone would have just gone for Ings and Jimenez.
Don't know. Get in the comments below, guys, if you're watching the replay of the video. Who would you have gone for second in that poll of the best budget forwards? But Danny Ings wins the poll, 43%. And then Captain Sam for Game Week 21, if indeed you've put any thought into it yet, which I haven't really put much thought into it yet either. But would you go De Bruyne, Salah, Mane, Ali, or Sterling, all of whom have pretty good fixtures?
Who's got who? Spurs have got Southampton.
You can tell me who you're picking in a minute. The results of the poll are that 46% of you, maybe based on what's just happened, are going for Kevin De Bruyne and his consistency, 46%. Mane in next at 34%, Salah at 14%, Ali at 2%, and Sterling at 1%. So maybe there's a bit of recency bias there, who knows? But a lot of you guys going for De Bruyne.
I'd probably go Ali. He's got Southampton. They can't keep a clean sheet.
Okay, interesting. Ali
or
with 2%.
it'll be Salah or Ali for me.
Okay. Well, the community going 46% Kevin De Bruyne. Because he's just that damn good. Just that good.
Interesting.
So there we go. All right, guys. Thank you for joining us for this episode of FPL Family. It's bonkers, frankly. Absolutely bonkers Game Week 20. You can't prep for it. You can watch as many FPL Families as you want. You can listen to as many podcasts as you want. Game Week 20 was just one of those game weeks. If you did well done. I don't know how you've done it, but well done.
It kind of feels like if you're going to end the decade, you might as well end it with a weird one, though.
Yeah, I think so. It doesn't. Yeah, it sort of feels fitting, doesn't it? Certainly this season, it's been certainly FPL has got more weird this season and more random, and maybe Game Week 20 was that random. It's quite befitting of this season, at least in terms of the way it's gone. Absolutely. But listen, we'll take it. We've put it in the bank. Red arrows all round here at FPL Family, sadly, but I know there's some good green arrows out there. So if you did well in Game Week 20, well done. If you did captain Rashford, you captain Kevin De Bruyne. Like the guys on the top of our Patron league did, then fair play to you. We go on. We'll see you this time next week, Sunday night, 8 p.m. In the new year, yes. Have a great new year. Don't drink an FPL. Don't drink an FPL. First rule of FPL, don't drink an FPL. We'll see you this time next week in 2020. See you then. Cheers, guys.
Bye, guys.